Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Amazing Nerdiverse. I'm Jeff Grant.
I'm Steven Tukert.
This is the podcast where we talk about all things, political. We talk about religion, race.
We're going to get deep into politics.
Yeah, as you can tell, we're experts.
Politics.
No, this is the show where we talk about all things amazing and geeky.
Yeah, all the important stuff.
That makes up the Amazing Nerdiverse. Sorry,
you said you got some news for me. What's the news?
Yeah, we got a lot. We've been gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We took Thanksgiving off. We didn't really talk about that on the podcast. We didn't decide to do it until right after we finished recording.
Well, we were going to do our top 10 Thanksgiving movies.
Yeah, we were. Too bad. We'll have to wait next year for that one. But anyway, let's jump into the news because there's a lot of it. First up, we're going to do like a Star Wars chunk because there's a lot of various little Star Wars related tidbits out there.
Yeah.
The first one, this is a huge shocker. Lucasfilm has confirmed that there will not be a sequel to Rogue One.
Good.
You don't want to see Rogue 2? You don't want to see...
No, don't. Pick another, story maybe from back then to tell.
Yeah.
But I don't need all the...
Well...
I can barely keep up with the Star Wars sequels.
Yeah, spoiler alert, there is a sequel.
What do you mean?
It's called A New Hope.
Oh.
This movie ends and leads directly into A New Hope. Furthermore, I don't think many of these people are going to survive this movie.
I don't know if I like your little attitude there.
What?
Condescending. Spoiler alert, stupid. It's called...
that wasn't aimed towards you. My sarcasm was
towards everyone else.
Towards anybody that thinks there might be a sequel to this movie. It has to end leading into A New Hope. Now, I was thinking the one way to do a sequel would be a couple of years later do the Bothan version of this, where we talked about it before, where
what?
in Return of the Jedi, the second Death Star, when Mon Mothma says many Bothans died to deliver these plans or whatever. Yeah. They could do a version of...
Wouldn't that be pretty much the same as Rogue One?
Exactly. There'd be nothing new to bring to the table. It'd be different characters doing a similar kind of mission.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's expecting them to do that. That's just something I justified in my head as that could be what they did, but no
that's
point
a
in it.
bad idea.
Only
bad people will come up with that idea.
Yeah, there's
stupid, terrible.
We got it. It's on the record.
All right, Dad.
We know what you think. There's other standalone stories to be told.
Yeah, I'd rather hear those.
Yeah, one of them is the Han Solo spin-off movie, which they just announced that Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones is joining the cast of that.
My only concern about that is we all already know how he dies. Does that take anything away from it?
Yeah, that's kind of the problem with sequels.
Does that with you? Does it?
That's the problem with prequels. You can never fully buy into the danger that any of the characters are ever in, and in these crazy adventure, fantasy stories like this, you got to kind of believe in the danger. That's why Rogue One is so exciting, because we don't know if all of these characters could die in Rogue One.
Was it not ever said?
What?
In A New Hope, I thought they said something "Oh, these people died to give us these plans."
That was from Return of the Jedi.
Oh, okay. I'm
this one, we don't have confirmation one way or the other whether they live or die, but most likely going to die because Darth Vader's out there, and I think we're going to see some heavy Darth Vader action, taking some of these down. Just a small bit of footage, but then again, look at Spider-Man was in Civil War for such a little amount of time.
True.
But if they deliver on Darth Vader like they delivered in Spider-Man in Civil War,
so are you saying Spider-Man's going to be in Rogue
One?
Yeah,
he's going to take the helmet off. You're going to see him in the chamber and he's got a Spider-Man mask on underneath, and then it closes down. So yeah, Emilia Clarke has joined the Han Solo film.
Okay.
There was talk of a bunch of actresses. One of them was Tessa Thompson, who I really would like to see in this universe. She was in Creed. She was the girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Tessa Thompson was one of the people that name was being banned around. Now, Emilia Clarke has joined the cast in a main female role. It might not be the only main female role, so maybe we could still see Tessa Thompson. And some people were thinking the character that because it was Tessa Thompson, and I can't remember off the top of my head the other actress, but and the character that a lot of people were expecting it might be is Sena Solo, who is a character introduced in the comics. Who
dat?
She introduced herself. She's it's in a comic book series, the Star Wars Marvel comics that they're doing that are officially canon now.
Uh-huh.
She appeared when Han Solo and Leia were off on a side adventure between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, she showed up and said she was Han Solo's wife.
Ooh.
And Leia's like, she gets all jealous and pissed and stuff, and like,
I wonder why.
It's great shenanigans going on there and that stuff. But turns out later she reveals that they're not really married. It was some part of some scam that they did, that they got fake married or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But Emilia Clarke is cool. I love her in Game of Thrones, but everything else has been in. The only other thing I've seen her in was Terminator Genesis. And that movie wasn't great. I can't say that it was her fault, but it wasn't a good look, to be in that movie after Game of Thrones. That's the only other thing I've seen her in. Josh Trank, who directed Chronicle, yay, and Fantastic Four, yeah.
About that.
He was signed on to do a Star Wars anthology film. But after the whole Fantastic Four thing, we're hearing all the, behind the scenes, rumors of what was going on there. The studio and him did not work well together. But he was working on a Star Wars film, and they kind of parted ways after the whole Fantastic Four thing.
He's in movie jail for a little bit?
Probably, yeah. The film that he was going to do was about Boba Fett. It was going to be about Boba Fett. And, the thing with Boba Fett is you could have so many different cool things. Because, Boba Fett can be in the Han Solo movie. Because they have a history. Boba Fett can be in his own thing. Who knows? But they, they could do some stories with the bounty hunters, because there's that big group of bounty hunters that showed up in Empire Strikes Back when there was a bounty out on Han Solo and everything. And the
Boba Fett is Han Solo's dad.
Oh shit! We figured it out.
What if that's really what they did with it? How old is Boba Fett? Do you even know?
Yeah, he was in episode 2. He was
What, they said it?
No, but he was a kid, and then Han Solo would have to be born around that time, because don't you think he's a little bit older? Because Luke and Leia are the same age. They were born at the very end of episode 3. Then
Han Solo kind of the same age as them?
He's kind of the same age as him. I always saw maybe a little bit older. Yeah. Because he calls him kid and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, he's just being kind of a dickhead, but that's...
Yeah. But, I mean, he was at least born right around or before episode 2, I would say.
All right.
So, because they're 19, Luke and Leia.
Okay.
Because it's 19 years later. Anyway, Boba Fett, there's a lot of things you could do with the character. That's what would have happened if we saw his film made. We don't know if they're still going to do that or not. We haven't heard anything.
It's his mom.
You know what? The crazy thing is, it actually got as far, him working on this Boba Fett thing, they had footage to show.
What, test footage stuff?
Like a sizzle reel, like a teaser, essentially, for the Boba Fett movie they were going to show at Star Wars Celebration, the big, convention they do every year. They didn't do it, and, they fired him off the project, or, let him go from the project right before that. So it had gotten far enough that they were ready to show stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a bummer, because, I, on the other hand, do want to see more Boba Fett stuff. I want to, I get what you're saying, because that's the problem I have with the character is, he's a cool character that they haven't really done anything cool with in the main films and stuff like that. So I'd like to see him a little bit more, make him a badass this time.
They basically did the same thing to him as they did to Cyclops in X-Men 3.
Yeah.
He shoots
a lake and dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the third movie of Star Wars trilogy.
There you go.
Third movie. We cracked it.
Cyclops is Boba Fett.
Could you imagine if the thing in the visor
and
just
James
started
Marsden?
shooting lasers and they pulled it off? James Marsden. No, I would assume that if they did, they could do a Boba Fett movie, and if they do ever take the helmet off, it could just be the guy that was in episode 2, because Boba Fett is a clone of his father.
Yeah.
But with not all the added, it's just his true clone,
right?
Without all the added stuff that they did to the clones, and so he would look exactly like his father. So get that actor; he could play Boba Fett whenever.
How old is that actor now, though?
It's only been 10 years or so.
Has it?
They would have to make him up to be old enough to be Boba Fett, around the era of the
whatever they were doing,
around the original trilogy, at least.
Yeah, I guess.
I kind of want to see something set after the original trilogy, just because. I'd like to see them officially confirm that he's not dead.
I
in
see
the
what you're
books, there was a, he came back. I have the book where he came back after.
Prove it.
It's right there, Mandalorian armor. And it's part of the Bounty Hunter trilogy. All right. Okay, so there's been rumors for a while. Ewan McGregor has said for a while that he would like to come back and play Obi-Wan again.
I wonder why.
cool character to play.
That wasn't
nice paycheck.
That didn't mean to be that sarcastic. I was just like, yeah, obviously.
It seems like a no-brainer to do that, right? Like, he was the best part of the prequels. He's of age that where he can play a slightly older Obi-Wan, put it in the same period between the two movies that they seem to be doing all their other standalone movies.
Like, I have some like Star Wars cups.
Yeah.
And they have like just some of the characters on it.
Yeah.
And they have Ewan McGregor and like, you know, Mark Hamill, Luke, and my wife Carla says, "Oh, how come the other Obi-Wan isn't on there?" And I thought about it. I was like, "What's the other guy's name?" And we're both like, "I don't know." Like, that's why.
Oh, Alec Guinness.
Oh, well, there you go. Never mind. Well, I guess for people like us,
he was a more like older, like classical actor of that time.
Oh, okay.
But he's since passed away and everything, and now people of this age, you know, group know, you know, Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan more. But just another reason why it's a surprise that they haven't do that. But here, this could be a possible reason for them not announcing a Obi-Wan movie yet. They might not be done with him in the saga movies.
Really?
In the episode movies. There was that little bit where in The Force Awakens where Rey touches the lightsaber and there's that flat fantasy thing and then you hear Rey, like, these are your first steps or whatever. Like, they used dialogue from the original movies. They did a weird thing where they combined an audio clip from Alec Guinness and then had Ewan McGregor come in and record the line. And they kind of mixed them together so it's a little bit of both of them as Obi-Wan in that moment. Some people...
The other guy's dead, right?
Yeah, okay. Alec Guinness. A lot of people, you know, tend to think that Rey is a Skywalker. That she, you know, originally a lot of people thought she was Luke and Leia's daughter, but I think now people, after seeing the movie, it didn't really seem like that. A lot of people are kind of leaning more towards her being Luke's kid. But
what did you just say?
Huh?
A second ago, what did you just...
Did I say Luke and Leia's
Yeah,
kid?
you did.
I meant Han and Leia.
Fucking gross.
My bad. Han and Leia's kid. And then now it's looking like she could be Luke's daughter.
Right.
But there's still the outside
Obi-Wan's
chance that she might be Obi-Wan's like granddaughter. Because he was dead before.
Who was dead?
He would have to be her grandfather.
Oh, that's right. He does die.
He does die in A New Hope. So, like...
I don't know why I'm so stupid. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, and there was like 30 years between episode 6 and 7.
Yeah.
So she would have to be, you know... But if you time it out right, if he had a kid, like, before A New Hope at some point, that, you know, son or daughter ends up having a daughter, and it's Rey. Like,
pretty old to be having a kid.
Not really. Like...
How long does
it could happen, like, right after A New Hope. Or right after episode 3. He could have gone off, went to Tatooine, met somebody, had a kid... She died. Kid went somewhere, and you know he would be much older by the time. There's 19 years in there to work around with between those two movies. You can figure out something in there. There's a lot of Star Wars stuff, so I'm trying to get through it.
Figure out something.
Couple things in here. They have officially confirmed that Rogue One's not going to have the opening crawl.
I'm sorry. I'm just picturing like Obi-Wan like in a bar trying to talk to a lady.
and
she's like she says, "What you doing?" He says, "Just trying to figure something out."
What does that mean?
It's what you just said. She's like, "There's like lots of space to figure something out." He's like, "Trying to figure something out."
I didn't mean for him to figure something out. I meant for like the writers to figure out a plausible
and she's
story
like, "Ugh."
Just trying to figure something out. Why did he become like Matthew McConaughey?
Because that's who I want to play Obi-Wan now.
That's why they haven't announced it yet. They're still trying to get him on board.
Oh my god. Okay, good going.
All right. Fox has officially hired John Wick co-director David Leitch to direct.
I really
want
to see John Wick. I haven't seen it yet.
It's awesome. I have it. You can borrow that.
I will.
You know, the other guy who directed, you know, it was two directors on the first John Wick, but these guys came up from like the stunt world, and that's why John Wick has some incredible fight scenes. One of them stayed on for John Wick 2.
Were they stunt guys that became directors? Or
yeah.
They just, that's cool.
Yeah, they became directors and stuff. And they also did like second unit directing on like stuff like Civil War and everything.
Oh.
But David Leitch is going to direct Deadpool 2. The other guy, Chad Stahelski, is he's staying on for John Wick 2 and the Highlander reboot. Like they're doing a reboot of Highlander.
I don't know anything about Highlander.
He's doing those.
All I know is that there can be only one, but I don't know what there can be only one of. Or why. Why can there not be two?
Fox has announced 2 more unnamed Marvel movies. So this is what they've got announced so far. They have, so we don't know which movie it is, but they've got release dates in October 2017, March 2nd, June 29th, and October 8th of 2018. November, and then they just added November 2nd, 2018, and February 14th, 2019. So they got like 6 release dates planned for Marvel movies from Fox. So that means X-Men
In
or
how many
Fantastic
years?
Four stuff. Between now and 2019.
6?
Yeah. Now
it's already practically
doesn't,
2017.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, like that's what all the other studios have going on. They have about 2 or 3 a year now.
Yeah, but
so
those
they're
are
trying
good,
to keep
though.
up. Yeah, exactly.
That's the
like, okay, so this doesn't include Logan, which comes out this March, but you know it could include the next X-Men movie they're talking about being the Phoenix Saga. You know, Deadpool 2 has not been officially dated, so that's part of it.
Okay.
With Cable and Domino, and then Deadpool 3, which is going to introduce the X-Force, and then there's going to be an X-Force movie. Gambit could be in there somewhere, maybe.
I don't know if that movie's gonna get made.
Yeah, probably not, but it could be. Like, you know, they had pretty high hopes for that before, so they may not have officially forgotten about that one, unfortunately, because from what it sounded like doing with too much of a budget for a solo Gambit movie doesn't sound right. They need to do something like Deadpool.
Would you want to watch a whole movie just with Gambit?
I want to see Gambit as part of the X-Men. That's the only thing we've never seen is Gambit being part of the group with the other X-Men.
Yeah.
He needs to be part of the group.
Yeah, why don't you start him off with everyone else?
Just because a character's popular doesn't mean you just need to put him off on his own and just do stuff with.
That's why I didn't understand that Venom solo movie that they were trying to do.
Yeah.
What is he gonna do?
Yeah.
Who cares?
So yeah, it could be Gambit, or God help us, the next Fantastic Four movie if they decide to do a sequel to that for some god awful reason.
Let Marvel.
Fool me once, fool me twice. You know, fool me 4 times. Fuck you. Like
what?
Like, they keep trying with the Fantastic
Dude, the first
Four.
2 weren't that bad compared to this one.
No, yeah, you're right, and that's pretty bad in and of itself. Like when those are like, yeah, remember when Fantastic Four movies were like that? The other potential thing, New Mutants. They've been talking about doing a New Mutants thing, which is a different team altogether of mutants that were introduced in the comics, like in the 80s and stuff. That actually has a director. The Fault in Our Stars director Josh Boone is working on a New Mutants movie. It's supposed to have characters like Magic, who is Colossus's sister.
Okay.
Sunspot, Mirage.
She turned into wood.
Warlock, Cannonball.
Or Straw.
They actually have a actor rumored to play that character who was in The Fault in Our Stars. His name is Nat Wolff. And Wolfsbane, which is rumored to be played by Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones, you know, Arya. There was an early animatic that they shown, like they've released it. It's got some it looks pretty damn cool.
Mm-hmm.
It has like Magic and Wolfsbane and Cannonball, and Lockheed. You know, remember the purple dragon that Kitty Pryde has in the comics and stuff?
Yeah.
It had Lockheed in that as part of this,
yeah?
hanging out with this group and stuff. And it versed in a character called Demon Bear, which is
awesome.
A giant bear that feeds off like negative emotions, like Vigo the Carpathian from Ghostbusters 2.
Wicked awesome.
Yeah, he's got strength, sense of like teleportation. He can like corrupt your soul, all this stuff.
And he's a bear?
Yeah, he's a giant bear. Like I'll have to show you this test footage and stuff that they showed, like these animatics. It looks pretty fun for an X-Men movie. Yeah, so that's one I'm curious to see. So these release dates that we don't know what's going where, you know, these are the movies that could be falling into place somewhere. You know, we'll probably see Deadpool 2 within the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be seeing the next X-Men movie within the next 3 years.
Do you think
probably.
Everyone would be like super confused when they start rebooting X-Men? Because didn't they just did it?
They just rebooted it. I mean, probably because they've already rebooted it, they'll just have to reboot it again, and
like another Charles and Xavier.
They're not going to stop because they make money on them.
Right.
Like that's the reason that Spider-Man went to Marvel is because Sony did not make much money on Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's all about the money, whether the movie's good or not. It's all about the money. And Fantastic Four didn't do well at all. So maybe they'll just, suck it up and do that and just keep going with their X-Men
God,
universe.
he cried a lot in that movie.
Yeah. All right.
So did I, but for a different reason.
Okay. Here's like one last chunk of news. It's all DC related stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We got there's rumors that Green Lantern is gonna appear in Justice League movie.
I've heard that.
As it should be. We
now,
were
did
hearing
they say
about that a while, and then we stopped
Green
hearing
Lantern,
that.
or like
John
John
Green
Stewart.
Lantern. I don't know if it's John Stewart. I don't know if it's Hal Jordan. I don't know. There is
Because it could just be like Kilowog or that squirrel.
Yeah.
Well, if they just kind of have him drop in like they had Wonder Woman drop in Batman, Superman.
Yeah.
That's not so bad.
Yeah.
You know?
There's gonna be. It sounds like there's gonna be a Green Lantern in Justice League, and I think there should be. They're doing it differently than the Avengers, where they get all of them together and they team up. It seems like there's just gonna be like 4 of them for a little bit. Then we'll probably see Superman come back at some point.
Right. He's gonna come back and help them when they need.
Yeah.
They're getting trounced.
Or no, I mean 5. I don't know. There's
because look on that poster. There's 6.
Yeah, there's 6 in the poster, so it looks like it'll probably be Batman and Wonder Woman, and then they get Flash on board and Cyborg, and then Aquaman doesn't look like he's
gonna be the Wolverine of the group.
But he's gonna come in eventually,
Yeah.
and then Superman's gonna show up out of nowhere to save the day,
Mm-hmm.
and then we might see the very end of the movie.
That squirrel, the Green Lantern squirrel.
Oh, that'd be the best. That's the one they go with. Like, you guys said you wanted to be the DC universe to lighten up, so here's the squirrel. You guys love Marvel and Rocket Raccoon. Here's a squirrel with a ring.
It's like, well, they did say Green Lantern.
Okay, so John Cleese from Monty Python
Uh-huh.
has been rumored to join the DCEU.
Okay.
This is a weird trend that we've been seeing lately, where people are figuring out casting
Mm-hmm.
from Twitter based on who follows who. Like Joe Manganiello, like who's playing Deathstroke now, that's how people figured out he was in contention for the role of Deathstroke, because they were people following each other back and forth.
Right.
So that's now the case with, a lot of people over at DC were following John Cleese, and then he recently followed Ben Affleck and the Justice League movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like he's joining that universe. There's a
He's
lot of
the Green Lantern.
I wish, right? What if he was like Aben Sur or something, the one that
That'd be pretty good.
dies right before
Yeah.
and hands it off? Or, oh my god, what if he's one of like the Guardians or stuff, the people that, the on Oa, the blue skin people.
Yeah.
That would be cool too.
That'd be a good one. And he does like a little silly walk.
The other one that I saw someone pointed out and I was like, that's a good one for John Cleese especially. Do you remember, you're watching Young Justice now?
Yeah.
G. Gordon Godfrey, the anti-Justice League TV host guy.
Yes.
He was voiced by Tim Curry in Young Justice. Like, John Cleese would be pretty solid for that role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so either one of those, I kind of, now that, like, that's what I was like, oh, that's the one he's going to do.
Yeah.
And then now I'm thinking, what if he was one of the Guardians? That would be pretty great. All right, so Lego Batman movie. Billy D. Williams is voicing Two-Face.
Nice.
He's reprising the role he played in the 89 Batman, where he was Harvey Dent, and we never got to see him as Two-Face. Well, now he's voicing Two-Face. I'm all about Billy D. Williams getting some voice work, because...
We built this city. I got that trailer song stuck in my head.
Oh, yeah. Okay, one last thing. Warner Brothers is considering doing an all DC streaming service, like a Netflix for DC stuff.
Well, they're 2 movies so far.
Well, no, look, like they can do movies. They can do not only the new DCEU,
like all the
Superman, Batman, Catwoman, Green Lantern, like Supergirl, like the Helen Slater one.
Right.
Like you could do the TV shows like Smallville or Gotham, Arrow, all these shows.
Right.
You could do the animated stuff like Batman, Young Justice, Justice League, Superman. You could do like, the old George Reeves, like, documentaries. They have documentaries, like countless documentaries about DC characters.
Okay, so you don't mean like just...
No, these are just me speculating. All they said was DC streaming service, but I'm thinking about what that could mean, all the things. Even motion comics. Like they got tons of motion comics. They could do all this stuff, and like, that's a service I'd probably be down to pay for. Like that's got plenty of stuff that I'd be interested in watching. All in one place. And plus they got new stuff coming out, like Justice League Action. There's a new animated Justice League series, and then bringing back Young Justice. There's so much stuff that they can do on this thing. And there's also like Vixen on the CWC. I recently watched, the first and second season of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a fun show that exists in the world of Arrow, and I think they should do more animated stuff like that fits into the, fill in the cracks of the CW universe.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of the CW universe, this week was the epic crossover between... Supergirl is crossing over into the other shows for the first time.
Yeah.
And we got 3 episodes, 3 nights of this epic crossover.
Mm-hmm.
We actually watched the first 2 the past couple days. This is Thursday night. The final episode in Legends of Tomorrow is airing in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna jump off the podcast for a second, and then come back and do our full review of all of the Invasion crossover episodes.
Right.
And we'll be right back. And we're back. Okay, so
It
feels
seems
weird.
so fraud and phony when you do it, but we are.
We are back. We just stepped away to watch the episode of Legends of Tomorrow that came on tonight. The final part of the
Tomorrow Tonight
3-part 4-show crossover.
Yep.
Invasion on the CW. Invasion is based on a comic book. Where do I got it? I don't know why I gotta hold it up like we're on TV. It's a
just hold it up so everyone at home can see.
Yeah, see it, guys?
God, that's the saddest thing I've ever seen.
No, I was just looking at it to get the names right and stuff. It's Invasion. It's from DC. This is a 1988 crossover series. It's one of the early crossover as far as the big, company-wide crossovers. Well, it was created by Keith Giffen, Bill Mantlo, Todd McFarlane did some of the art in like the first half of it. So like these aliens, the Dominators that we see, this is like Todd McFarlane designs and stuff.
Yep.
Bart Sears. Those are the names that are on the cover. And this comic, I'm not done with it. I've read the first like 2/3 of it.
Mm-hmm.
They picked the right one to do for the crossover of the show, I think.
Why is that?
They didn't go too much into what they did in the comics. And in the comics, you hardly ever see the superheroes. It's mostly told from the aliens' point of view. It's the Dominators, they're the planners, and then there's all these other like Daxamites, which we're seeing on Supergirl. They're part of it, but they're just kind of watching, and they come to Earth and go, "Oh, we got powers under the yellow sun too." So they join up the fight on Earth's side and everything. Bunch of aliens, but so far from what I read of this, the big things they pick up, the Dominators are the main.
They look a lot like
bad guys.
in that.
Yeah,
in there.
They're not quite as yellow, but the look of them in the shows are great.
Right.
And just the idea that they're these aliens are threatened by the Earth's metahumans, and they're trying to put a stop to that shit. So, this is the biggest thing that the CW has done so far.
Yep.
To date, like the crossovers, starting way back in the day.
I really want to know like the view numbers. Like I really want to know what the.
I do know that last night's Arrow got a season high rating. I do know that Supergirl got really good ratings on that one. That's all I've read. I don't know, but I'm thinking next week we're going to be hearing about all these shows getting picked up again because they're seeing how.
Yeah.
Like this is the big thing to see how this crossover does for business as far as these shows, and like you didn't have to watch Supergirl, for this crossover.
No.
Like you didn't have to.
I mean,
let's talk about it though. Like
okay.
it was. It's called Medusa. Was the name of the episode. It was mostly about Cyborg Superman, which was introduced last week. It's Hank Henshaw, who is Cyborg Superman in the comics, but in the show it's David Harewood, the guy that also plays Martian Manhunter. Cyborg Superman, dumb name, right?
He keeps saying it.
He keeps saying it too, which is what makes it even dumber. Because in the comics, Cyborg Superman looked like Superman,
right?
Just cyborg body underneath like a Terminator kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then like it gets torn away, and then later you see like parts of the
You
metal
might be
skeleton.
blank, but I'm Cyborg Superman.
Yeah.
Stop saying that, dude.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like in the comics, Cyborg Superman came out of the Death of Superman storyline.
I feel bad for the actor because I feel like he's like, this is hard to.
Yeah, this is goofy, guys. Let me just be Martian Manhunter. People love that. There's one thing that they introduced in this show that I felt could have tied into the crossover, but they didn't do it. Was the Medusa virus.
Yeah.
Like I felt that she was gonna zip back to Earth real quick, get the Medusa virus, come back because it would have killed all the aliens.
That would have made sense.
Yeah, but they didn't kill them. They just sent them packing. Like they're heroes. They were gonna kill them.
They should have killed them.
Yeah.
Aliens.
All right, and then Barry and Cisco. Like I did like the running gag throughout the show, the time tunnel opening up, and they're just like, "What the hell?" And then at the end, when it finally comes,
I thought it was gonna happen like at dinner.
Yeah, but at Thanksgiving, you thought they were going to come out and just be standing on the turkey or something.
An arrow just shoots through to the turkey.
Yeah. The only thing, the cameo at the end when they finally did get through was cool and all, but
it was literally the same scene in The Flash.
They repeated the entire scene, completely.
Yeah, so you literally don't have to watch Supergirl.
You don't have to watch it, but I already watched these shows, and I like seeing how when they cross over, how what's going on in the other shows, like, kind of comes together and stuff. And Supergirl was just kind of there in this stuff. They didn't bring a lot of from Supergirl's world into the show, just the character. But, this is early, it's still like, I was going to say before, let's talk about the crossovers.
Mm-hmm.
They started out, season 2 of Arrow, they introduced Barry Allen on Arrow for a 2-episode arc.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of that episode, he got struck by lightning, and that spun him off into his own series.
Right.
Then the next year was the first time of them two teaming up. We got our first, like, DC superhero crossover team up thing, which was cool because the 2 episodes, one of them they did were the, who was it? Was Barry mind controlled by?
Yeah, Barry was mind controlled because
Rainbow
that's
Raider
the dangerous one.
Yeah.
Because if Ollie was mind controlled, Barry could just beat the shit out of him
in the face.
Yeah, he'd
knock
be
him
fine.
out like that. Yeah, you're right. And then
you
they
always
teamed
put
up.
the most dangerous one in mind control.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like with Supergirl and all the other people.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to it.
Good morning.
Yeah. So and then the next year they did. Last year, which was when they were introducing Legends, and they did the introduction of a Hawkman and Hawkgirl, and like the bringing about together of the team of Legends and stuff, and introduced Vandal Savage for the first time.
And Adam was introduced on. Was he on?
Well, he was introduced season 3 of Arrow, and then he disappeared at the end, like where he thought he died, but he really shrunk down.
Right.
And then he came back later in season 3, right before that crossover.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, now this is the first time they've gotten to do a real like crossover where they're not the goal isn't to set something up or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this awesome like kind of culmination of like these years of the show and like putting them all together for one like amazing 3-night event.
Yeah.
Now next year I'm hoping if all these shows are still on the air, I'm hoping to see a 4-episode thing, and then maybe next year we might see Martian Manhunter get involved, which would be nice, or Superman. Now, the only thing that can make all this cooler is if by the end of this season they do some kind of Crisis on Infinite Earths type thing and merge the worlds together into one, which is what I was hoping they would do with Flashpoint. But I get it why they didn't, like now seeing where the story was going and all that stuff. But I still think we might see something. Yeah. Something somewhere down the line that brings them all to one universe. 'Cause we'll get to that too. Getting ahead of ourselves. All right, yeah, let's talk about The Flash. And after this point, all the episodes are just called Invasion with an exclamation point. Like The Flash, Arrow, Legends, they're all Invasion. But The Flash, first thing I want to do is touch on last week's episode of The Flash.
Okay.
Killer Frost, directed by Kevin Smith. It's a really good episode. We got to see Caitlin go dark, which is something I wasn't...
It was really, it's hard to watch.
Yeah.
It made me sad. I was like...
It was also kind of hard to buy for me a little bit at sometimes where... we've known Caitlin for 3 years. It just doesn't seem...
That's what makes the turn.
Yeah, but
sad.
It's sad, but it makes it hard for me to believe that she would go that dark. And I guess like if you justify that
powers.
It's the ice powers, they make her heart cold and stuff like that. Like,
attaboy.
Yeah, it's just hard to see, like hard to buy her doing that.
Funny
I guess
how
I'd buy
something
it
like Barry can run it,
Yeah.
super speed, but
it's just character motivation and stuff, Like, what would motivate her to turn evil, but it has to be just the powers.
Well, power corrupts some people.
Yeah.
So
that was a good episode. We learned a lot. A lot of stuff didn't really come into play in this episode, but we did, see Wally get his speed and everything.
You know what I've realized?
Huh?
The new Harrison Wells is kind of taking the place of Cisco.
Like making the jokes and everything, because Cisco's now all dark and moody and
he's all pissy because
got a stick up his ass. All right, so this episode, I did like this. The Flash was the first one to discover the aliens.
I like just aliens.
Yeah, it was appropriate because Flash is the one that introduced us to metahumans. Even in his first appearance on Arrow, he was looking for metahumans, and what brought him into that was ironically, was it Cyrus Gold, who is actually Solomon Grundy. So they did Solomon Grundy in Arrow, but like before he came back as a crazy zombie. I always want them to go back and revisit that and find him now as a zombie. Once they've established more.
I really
of that.
like there's that one scene where Ollie
Constantine be a part of that episode too.
Oh, maybe he might be in the crossover next year.
That would be amazing. Do like instead of an alien thing, do like a more supernatural kind of theme crossover. Yeah.
Or like the Legion of Doom gets put together.
Well, that's what Legends of Tomorrow is this season. Is the Legion of Doom is the big bad of that show.
Well, then maybe next year that becomes the big threat for everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Reverse
all right.
Flash.
So yeah, so I liked how he was the first one to discover and then become a metahuman.
Mm-hmm.
He was the first one to meet Kara. You know, it makes sense.
Uh-huh.
So I like that. Now, he ends up bringing in all the other people together. They kind of make him like the de facto team leader because he's the one that brought them together.
Right.
And that's what Oliver suggests. But I love that moment where like he was like, "All right, yeah, okay, I'm team leader."
So obviously the first thing we should do is
do a test run.
Yeah, we should do a test run and then
against Supergirl.
And go against Supergirl just to
So we're just supposed to pretend like we don't hear him?
Yeah, that's right.
That was one of my favorite lines. I laughed so hard. So yeah, he brings them together. We see him show up. Vigilante appeared.
Yep.
And this is like, you don't think about it, but this is the first time Vigilante has appeared on Flash.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even think about that because they were dealing with Arrow's world, but it was on the television show The Flash.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of cool. Then he goes to get Supergirl.
If Flash didn't show up, would Oliver and Diggle have died?
Probably, yeah.
That would have been the end for them.
Every time Flash shows up for these crossovers, they're about to die. He just happens to show up at the perfect time every time.
Yeah.
Supergirl, we see the scene again. But the one thing we do learn is before they leave, Cisco says that the tachyon device that Barry was wearing last year, which is when he traveled over to Supergirl by accident, he said they logged it. It said it was Earth 38.
Okay.
So we officially know that Supergirl takes place on Earth 38, which I heard a rumor could be reference to Superman, Action Comics #1 in 1938. And then, I also heard someone say that, it has something to do with CBS, so it's kind of like Earth CBS.
Like what channel it's on?
Yeah, I don't know if that's the channel it is here.
CBS would be a low channel, wouldn't
it? Yeah, but they have the, it's like CW is like 69 in Atlanta. It's not the actual, I don't know. But anyway, so they bring them all together, and where are they? Where do they all meet up?
The big hangar, the Hall of Justice.
Yeah, so Barry owns the Hall of Justice, guys. First time I saw that on, and I had even gotten like a hint of it before because there was those 4 posters they released, and they kind of mashed up perfectly together, and you could see the Hall of Justice in the background. But I thought that was just kind of cool, that's just a nice.
I didn't notice it right away. I was like, that kind of looks like.
Yeah,
is that the Hall of Justice?
The Hall of Justice, and Barry owns it, and bringing that into this world was so cool to me. I loved that. And this is the first eventually these crossovers and stuff. We're seeing these teams come together. Eventually, they're gonna come up with a little name or something. There's guys, there was the Justice Society of America before. What if we're like the Justice League or something? They have to do it at some point.
But Grants. People will get confused between.
Oh no! Who cares?
The movie.
Let them. I just want them to call it.
How are they going to know the difference between probably the convoluted, really sad movie that's coming?
Yeah.
And the really bright and fun adventure team up
that everyone loves.
Yeah.
All right. So what? They're at the Hall of Justice, and this is when all of the secrets that characters have been keeping lately are starting to get outed. Obviously Barry has to come clean about Flashpoint. I
feel like he's already done it.
Well, yeah. No,
how many times does he have to?
Well, to everyone else, in the other shows, because
it's everyone else's business.
Well, yeah, it is because you always defend Barry, but to be fair,
he's my favorite.
He screwed up all of their lives.
Oh yeah. What did it really change?
Diggle's kid?
From what? A boy to a girl?
A girl to a boy.
So what?
It's kind of fucked up, man.
How?
So
what if the personality and everything about that child is precisely the same, but now it's a girl or a boy?
Well, don't get me wrong. I'm glad that it's a boy now because now it's Connor Hawke. It's the Green Arrow that we saw in the future.
Right. But so what's the big deal?
Still, it's screwed up.
I don't understand.
Wait till you have kids, and then I'm gonna go back in time. I'm gonna flashpoint the hell out of you.
I won't know the difference.
Well, now they do. That's the problem. So we also learned about the message, which is something they've been teasing over on Legends of Tomorrow. Stein and Jax find this hidden compartment room in the Wave Rider, and it has a message from Barry in there, from 40 years from now. And he tells them, warns them. When we finally hear the message, he's like, I screwed up. I did something, with the timeline, or at least says he did something and messed with time. And then Barry's like, yeah, I know what he's talking about. I know what I'm talking about. I screwed up. And something so bad that it's still having effects 40 years in the future, or Barry wouldn't have even left that message.
I want to go back and listen to that message real quick because I want to know if there's like a big sigh at the beginning of it. Like,
all right, hey guys. So I know it's been 40 years, but I gotta come clean about something.
Again.
So yeah, they hear the message, they play it. He has to tell everybody. Mm-hmm. People learn, what changed. I mean, most everybody knew what had changed except for Diggle. Oliver didn't know that anything changed, but Oliver was actually on his side on that, which I thought was really nice.
God, like everyone's like giving Barry shit, and like it's literally
up his ass.
They're literally just those two in a room going like, dude, I'd do the same thing. They were in
the little braille bumpy wall time chamber.
That's their fort.
Secret thing. He's like
their little fort.
Showed him the newspaper, and the newspaper has even changed now. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have Iris's name. It's not Iris Allen or Iris West Allen.
It's just someone else.
It's from the comics. Julie Greer or something. Not Judy Greer. She's an actress.
Julie Greer.
That was the name.
That's my niece.
Is it?
My niece writes it.
Yeah. See Barry screwing everything up.
But that's fine with me. How does that affect anything if my niece writes a newspaper article 40 years from now?
You don't know what else she was supposed to be doing.
She's doing pretty well if she's writing newspaper articles.
Yeah, I guess. Good point. But because this has something to do with him and Iris, I think we're gonna see Barry try to fix it again at some point. And my only hope is maybe that creates the crisis that.
So everyone gonna give him shit for that too?
I hope. God. But I at least hope they merge the worlds, like find a way to merge the worlds so Supergirl and Superman and Martian Manhunter exist.
And Batman and Aquaman.
The same world. And Batman and
Green Lantern, the squirrel one.
The next thing that I wanted to talk about is the big fight at the end of that episode. So it's Green Arrow and Flash versus everybody.
Pretty much.
It's,
doesn't the episode start off with like those two like ducking behind a wall?
Yeah, it starts off with like a, it starts at the end and then
what now, team leader?
Yeah, and then all that stuff kind of makes more sense. Yeah. Like
I was like, did I miss something?
Because like the funny thing is like, you really did it this time, Barry. He's like, seriously? And then like now seeing it how it played out in the episode, it was right after that great
it's like,
moment.
Bro, you just said it was all right.
He's like, well, yeah, that was before Supergirl and Firestorm and Atom and all these people started attacking us. Oh, I wanted to point this out. I was actually doing a tally, at least for the first two shows, of how many heroes appeared in the episode. Mm-hmm. We have Flash, Arrow, Spartan, Speedy, Supergirl, White Canary, Atom, Firestorm, and Heatwave. That's 9 heroes in this episode. You also had on deck, you had Vibe, Killer Frost, and Kid Flash. Mm-hmm. Which
I almost forgot about Kid Flash.
Yeah, and then MIA was Citizen Steel and Vixen, who were off on the Wave Rider.
Right.
So we didn't see them for the first episode. Okay, so it's Green Arrow and Flash versus all of them. And I kind of liked how they split it up, where Flash was fighting the metahumans, and
come on,
Ollie was fighting,
people that
Team Arrow, essentially.
People that he could fight.
Yeah, his sister, his best friend, his ex-girlfriend who he cheated on her sister with. Like, he was fighting them. Uh-huh. That was cool, and then Flash solving that problem.
Yeah.
How he was, like, tried to race.
Yeah.
I like that. He was like, hey, Supergirl, want to find out who's fastest? I was like, yes. That was one of the things. That was one of the things that was in the trailer, and I didn't know how, because I didn't realize. I don't know why. I think I should expect it every time that somebody's gonna get mind controlled.
Yeah.
And they're all gonna have to fight each other. That's how you do these crossovers.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I just don't see that. I just think like, oh, they're gonna immediately jump into the
and be best buds.
Yeah, yeah.
They're all gonna give Barry a hard time, then they're gonna go fight aliens.
Yeah. So they're fighting them all, and then who comes to the rescue?
Batman.
Kid Flash. Wally runs out there and tries to save them.
And he does.
Yeah, he does. And then he gets bitch slapped by Supergirl and knocked. Like, it's so funny. He's like, I gotta go, guys. He runs out there, and for the people in Star Labs, from their point of view, it's just, I gotta go out there, guys. And then Barry, hey guys, Wally's hurt.
I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that.
If you think it from their point of view,
because it happens that quick.
It happens so quick.
Hey guys, Wally got hurt real bad.
That was great.
He's not doing too good.
To be fair, though, Supergirl is the strongest person that any of them have ever
Right.
encountered.
To be fair, yeah.
So he held his own for a second.
Yeah.
Literally a second, a millisecond, and then she knocked his bitch ass out. But I just thought that was so funny.
I'm really glad that he got to show up and do something.
Yeah, I wanted him to costume. I more than anything, I wanted him to suit up in this episode, and then maybe similar thing happen, get hurt, and have to go out of it.
What do you think of him and Harrison Wells? Like,
yeah.
They're gonna be real stupid and
He's
awesome.
gonna train him. Th're gonna be stupid.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Make some dumb decisions, but
because they're both looking at each other like, this guy knows how to do it.
Which anyone watching the show, no, these guys don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, this guy knows. I like. Okay, we didn't talk about it, but I like the reveal that this Harrison Wells is like, he's not evil.
No, he's just an idiot.
But like a fun, like,
he's a fun idiot. Yeah. I love him. Like he's pitching at the beginning of the episode. He's pitching like, all right, we open it to the public, and like, I love that little. It's so stupid, but the device that changes his face,
right,
so that he can appear to other people, so he doesn't. Oh, that's Harrison Wells. He's evil. This is part of the fight. Is there anything else you want to talk about the big fight in that episode?
Just that it was awesome.
Yeah, I will say might be the first time in 99 episodes that we've ever seen Oliver run out of arrows.
Yeah, that's right.
You never see him run out of arrows.
He ran out. He's like, he had this kind of look on his face, like,
I don't know what to do when this happens. All right. So this episode ends with...
Oh, you know what I almost thought? I almost thought the last arrow was going to be the boxing glove one. He's going to go...
Gotta use this one. That would have been great.
I almost thought that would
have been perfect. Like he knocks out Diggle with it or something. I wish they did that. Okay, so the episode of The Flash ended with all of the past and present Arrow cast. Actually, oddly enough, that's how it worked out.
Yeah. It
was White Canary, then Spartan and Speedy, then Atom, and then Green Arrow get beamed up to the ship.
Yeah.
And, Flash tries to stop it right as...
I almost thought he was going to get him.
Yeah,
I was questioning. I was like, are those two just going to...
Yeah. So, they did that, and it was, it transitioned nicely to the next night. Arrow invasion. Mm-hmm. Now, not only is this the middle part of an epic crossover, this was also Arrow's 100th episode. So they had a lot to juggle on this episode.
Yeah.
And they did it really well.
Yeah.
I said I did the tallies. Let's take a look at the tally in this.
How do you watch that? Okay, look. I really doubt anyone is just watching Arrow, but if you only watch Arrow and none of the others,
yeah, I'm sure there are people that only watch Arrow.
They must be confused.
I guess, yeah.
They can't be anything else.
This one especially. I mean, yeah, it was the 100th episode, and I think they did justice to that, the fact that it was the 100th episode. But they also made it work within the context of this crossover, because you have Oliver, Diggle, Thea, Sarah, and Ray on the ship in stasis, and they're in this like crazy dream world where they're seeing what life would be like if Oliver never got on the boat, and their parents are alive. Laurel is alive. They're getting married.
Did he call her something else?
Huh?
He said like Dinah.
He said Dinah Laurel Lance. That's her real name. Laurel is her middle name.
Okay.
Her mother's name was Dinah. She's Dinah Laurel Lance. But in the comics, Black Canary was Dinah Lance.
Okay.
So that's how they justified in the show.
So they kind of went backwards and said, no, she's the...
No. I mean, that's always been her name in the show, is Dinah Laurel Lance.
Oh, I didn't. I guess I just didn't catch that before.
Yeah. But I did, because I love Black Canary.
Right.
And I love, and I know, okay, her name is Dinah Laurel Lance. She goes by Laurel Lance. Maybe somehow, if they bring her back, she'll just go by Dinah Lance. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's her cousin or whatever. And
looks just like her.
Yeah. But she had that necklace, dude. That canary necklace was awesome. It was like from the comics, the canary logo. I love that. I'm like, I want to see her come back. I want to see her get a new suit.
Right.
And that can be the only belt buckle we need, is that canary thing. What if they fix her costume and it's just the same costume, but instead of all the buckles everywhere, it's the little canary logos. So there's like 20 of them all over her. All right. Like so here's our tally. In space, we got 5 heroes. On Earth, we got 5 heroes. We got Flash, Supergirl, Wild Dog, Ragman, and Mr. Terrific teaming up, which was nice to see. See,
like Barry had to go get the B Squad.
Yeah, but it was nice to see them part of the crossover. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, especially Ragman, I don't know anything about him, and it's like, he's cool. He's got powers that can help, and kind of surprised he's not involved in more of the alien fighting.
Here's the thing.
I kind of wanted them to, at some point in Legends of Tomorrow, while all the aliens fighting, just cut over to them, like, fighting people in Star City.
Mm-hmm.
Like, fighting aliens and stuff. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Wild Dog was giving Barry and Supergirl shit.
Yeah.
For having superpowers. What about his boy Ragman over there?
Yeah.
Like,
well, he's not a meta-human. Like, I think he's got something that gives him the powers, where I think...
Oh, as opposed to the other ones where nothing gives them the powers?
Yeah. They're just... amazing. I don't know. Yeah, it's like
he's real picky and choosy.
Yeah. Well, like the thing is, like when you're writing these characters in 22 episodes a season, you have a little bit of growth and progress, but then each episode you kind of have to go back to square one.
Yeah, I guess.
So what is square one for Wild Dog? He's a dick, and he's always up everybody's ass, and he immediately doesn't like anything. And then later you see like with Diggle, like he was being a prick, and then at the end of the episode you see that one episode.
Square one.
Well, what was last week where Diggle, he was missing his son's birthday, and then Wild Dog did that awesome thing where he brought Lila and his son there so he could, see him for his birthday. I thought that was really a sweet moment. I'm like, see, there's Wild Dog's got a heart. He's got a heart deep down in there under all the the shitty attitude. Okay. So that was on Earth. The Nerd Army in this episode consisted of Felicity and Cisco, and also Curtis and Rory to an extent.
Yeah.
They were kind of on both sides of that. And then, MIA was Artemis, Heatwave, Firestorm, and Vixen. They weren't really involved in this episode. But Nate Haywood, Citizen Steel, did come in at the end for the save.
Yes.
We'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, so, we're seeing the dream world that Oliver and all them are in. Mm-hmm. There's the Laurel, he's getting married, his parents are alive. Ironically, the only person in this dream world to wear the hood in this 100th episode of Arrow, the only person wearing the hood was Diggle.
Yeah.
Oliver never wore the hood in this episode. Yeah, so like...
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so we're seeing what the world would have been like with all that. Felicity was with Ray, and Sarah was just there visiting for the wedding and stuff. Diggle was Oliver, Felicity was working with Diggle. And then they start figuring it all out. Mm-hmm. And they all get on the same page. And remember, they're out there in the courtyard, Oliver and Diggle, they're trying to figure it out. And then Deathstroke shows up.
Yeah.
That was cool. We never saw Under the Mask. We never saw the actor Manu Bennett as Slade Wilson. But we did see Deathstroke.
That's one thing I was kind of paying attention to for each episode. Was like, how are they saving money?
Yeah, how are they saving money? Yeah.
Here's how you're saving it there.
Yeah.
Because Diggle's, he was fighting his brother.
Yeah.
But you didn't see his brother's face, but you knew who it was.
Yeah. They probably couldn't get the actor.
Yeah.
They had to do that a couple times in this episode, but they couldn't get the actor.
And it took me a second, and I realized Ray Palmer was fighting, I guess, the guy that killed his wife. Or was it fiance? Like the mugger. You don't know that?
Was
you
he?
Didn't? Yeah. Because remember...
I did not realize that.
Do you remember his origin story type thing?
Yeah, his origin... his wife got killed by a mugger, yeah.
Yeah, it was during the Slade Wilson... Yeah. He had a bunch of gang people running around the streets.
You're right.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I just thought that was one of the,
Well, I was like, okay, who's important to each person?
You're right. Because I did notice that in that fight. Yeah, so the ultimate boss fight was Thea versus Malcolm.
Yep.
Her dad, which has made sense. Season 1, Big Bad.
Yes.
Ollie versus Deathstroke, Season 2, Big Bad.
Uh-huh.
Sarah versus Damien Dark was Season 4, Big Bad. Mm-hmm. They didn't have Ra's al Ghul, unfortunately.
Oh, that would have been
yeah, that's the only
Ollie
thing
can't just be fighting everybody.
Yeah, well...
getting stabbed.
Yeah, so Sarah versus Damien Dark, who killed her sister. That made sense. And then Ray and Diggle were fighting, I thought that they were just kind of fighting, the combo of goons from Hive and the island, but you're right. I thought the guy with the Deathstroke mask...
Yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking back to the island. Remember there was the other guy with the Deathstroke mask on the island? I thought it was, but you're right. I'm dumb. Mm-hmm. You're right. That was the guy that killed his wife. It was one of those goons. That's smart. Also, we got to see Ray shoot a gun.
Yeah, I think he was.
He was surprised that he did that.
I think for him in that moment, what it was, like he couldn't save his wife before.
Yeah.
So in that moment he was like, okay.
You're absolutely right.
You know what I mean? Like that huge jump of like, okay.
Yeah. That's cool. That makes that. And I watched that scene twice. Like after that scene ended, I was watching it with my sister, and I looked over and was like, let's watch that again.
Right.
We watched it. We watched the whole scene over again. Like the fight, like one of the better fight scenes I've seen on the show in a while. They've always had great fight scenes, but this one was like, it meant something. Yeah, it was a fantasy dream world make 'em up thing, but like it was an awesome fight with like bringing back all these key characters from the
personal demons
100 years of the show. Yeah. And it made sense in the story in the context of them being abducted by aliens and put into this device that makes them see this. I mean, we've seen that kind of thing before. Like Supergirl last year, they did the for the girl who has everything, which was based on an issue of the comics for the man who has everything, where Mongol sends this thing to Superman. It's like a alien plant like device thing that straps on his chest and just like puts him out, and he's in a dream world where he never left Krypton,
right,
and stuff. So that's kind of what they do, that a lot in these shows. But for 100th episode, you gotta do some kind of stuff like that pays tribute to the preceding 99 episodes. And there was so much stuff in this episode that did that.
Yeah.
The little arrowhead thing that Thea gave him is what he gave her in the pilot episode when he got back from the island. What are some other things? Oh, they made reference to Tommy Merlin. Yeah. He's a doctor in Chicago now, which is funny because he's on a TV show.
Oh, is he?
Called, I think it's like Chicago MD. I have no idea, but
he's on a
TV show set in Chicago where he plays a doctor. So that's kind of how they did that. No mention of Roy, but when they finally leave. But yeah, when they finally leave the thing at the end, Oliver looks back and he sees everybody. Sees his parents, he sees Felicity, sees Tommy and Roy. But when he sees them, it's like, the actors were all standing there, right. And then those two were like, they had to rotoscope the actors in there and from previous footage and stuff. Looked a little wonky, man.
Well,
especially on Roy.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's a bummer. Like that was the only thing in the episode that stuck out to me. Is like, I wish it looked a little better. But then again, I would have loved to have Roy in the dream world, like if he was Thea's date to the wedding and stuff, and she
I almost thought Thea was gonna stay.
Yeah, I was like, what if? 100 episode, people like Smallville. Who died in the 100th episode? Remember?
Yeah.
Jonathan Kent died.
Yeah.
Like 100th episodes are big episodes where people die, and I thought we might be seeing that.
Yeah,
I thought
really
Thea
thought she
might
was
be
gonna
getting
stay
written
behind.
off the show.
Like, all right, well.
All right.
Doesn't want to get out of the Matrix.
So yeah, they escaped from the Matrix. They are on the ship. Like they're running around. Like that's what's the coolest thing about this episode is, yeah, they were paying tribute to 100 years of Arrow, but it was also there's fucking aliens,
right? And
they're on a spaceship, and some of the craziest, most outlandish shit we've ever seen in 5 years is happening in this episode, and I loved it. Like they were escaping from the ship.
I like that they were on the gun. I like
that
they were when they were escaping, and then what was it? Diggle says incoming, and I think Ollie goes, "How do you know?"
Yeah, Sarah. She's like, "How do you know?"
Like, what are you looking at?
I love that too. Yeah, they escape on a spaceship. How crazy nuts is that? I loved it. I did, like, while I was watching, I was like, of course they find a 5-seater spaceship. And then my sister was like, well, most cars are 5-seaters. I was like,
fair
you're
enough.
Damn right.
Fair enough.
I was like, fair enough. Sold. Makes sense. That made me laugh.
I wouldn't have thought about that had she not said that.
Yeah, me neither. Like, she totally put me in my place on that. I'm like, yeah, good point. So yeah, they escape on a spaceship, and then the Wave Rider comes to the rescue. Nate Haywood. That was cool.
I love that guy now.
Yeah. And it's the perfect handoff to the final episode, Legends of Tomorrow. All right, let's talk about it.
No good.
Really? You liked it?
I loved it. It was great.
I mean, I think of the 3 episodes, The Flash was probably my favorite because it was like so exciting, so much going on.
Yeah.
And then Arrow was special because it was the 100th episode.
Right.
So that would make this one the third place of these, but that's not saying much because it was a really great episode.
Yeah.
We had a lot. Since we just watched this, I didn't get to make as many notes, but
right.
Let's hit some things. Going into this, what I was hoping was, you know how we saw like in the Flash episode, they showed the footage of the 1951 alien attack. I was like, please let them go back in time because it's Legends of Tomorrow. Go back to the 50s, which they did, and I was excited. They went back in time, but it was just Heatwave, Vixen, and Citizen Steel, and Cisco and Felicity were back on the ship.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer because I was like, I want to see them go out in the 50s and.
I almost thought Cisco was gonna get like a costume.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like the ship has the thing that can just make the costume.
He did talk to Adam. About
upgrading his costume.
He said, we should probably upgrade your.
So maybe in the next episode of Legend Tomorrow, we might see a little bit of an upgrade in that costume.
What would you do to his costume? I'd make it a little bit more like.
Little brighter, maybe a little brighter blue.
I'd make it a little bit more like clothing and not so much armor.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Then again, yeah, like
let him move around a bit.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I like the improvement to Diggle's helmet.
Yeah,
but he's still just wearing a leather jacket.
It looks more like RoboCop than Magneto. But still.
Which is better.
It's a little better, yeah.
At least if he gets shot in the back of the head, he won't die.
Yeah. So, yeah, when they went back in time, I kind of wanted there to be a Justice Society team up there.
Yeah, that'd be...
Like, if everyone went back in time.
Yeah.
Which was unnecessary. Seeing how they did it in the show made sense. But just me, I wanted Justice Society to be involved. And they did mention them. They did say that that's why the Dominators came back to that time in the first place. Yeah. Was the Justice Society. They saw the metahumans uprising and stuff. So
I thought a similar thing was gonna be like they were gonna be the ones in the footage.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know how they would have tied that back.
Justice Society would have been part of the footage and stuff.
No. When they went back in time, they would be the reason.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, they're the reason that they came back. So they went back. They went back with the goal of kidnapping one of the aliens to learn what their goal was,
right?
And stuff. So they went back, and then they get abducted by. The secret agent man, as Ray calls him. And then we find out that the guy we've been seeing in these shows, the secret government guy that we're seeing in the present day storyline, is the same guy that was there in 1951. That was cool. I missed that. I was making my notes, and you're like, idiot, rewind it. You missed that. I'm glad I did, because that was good. The president died in The Flash, so there was a new president. I did hear that they were trying to get Linda Carter to play the president, because that's who's president on Supergirl. If you don't know, the 70s Wonder Woman, which is awesome and appropriate. Love how they do that in these shows. I love when they're in I think this happened when they're in the secret agent man comes and captures all of them, one of the aliens included, locks them up in a room together, which I thought was weird.
Yeah, not handcuffed.
Yeah, they're just all in there. The alien
Maybe
was
he just
strapped
assumed
down.
Like, these guys are superheroes. They're not going to really...
They're not going to kill the alien, and they're not going to... The alien's not going to hurt them if it's tied up in there. I guess, maybe. It's still stupid. So, yeah, they're talking to the aliens. I loved your favorite
He's
phrase.
my new guy.
The phrase that pays.
The phrase that pays.
And Nate Haywood's, what did he say?
Try to mind my own business.
They were just minding their own business. Yeah. Aliens showed up.
My own business. It's my new guy.
That's when he became your new guy.
Yep.
Okay, so we see a lot of things happen in this other thing. They learned the aliens are there because of the uprising of metahumans. They were there in 1951 because of the JSA. They're in it back now because of everything that started with the particle accelerator and the expansion of just the more and more metahumans that we're seeing. Started with the particle accelerator. Then season 2 was from the other Earth, and all these things just make
phrase that pays.
So again, we said Cisco up Barry's ass.
God.
All these episodes, all this season, really.
Yeah.
There was a moment earlier in the season where I thought he was over it, and then he got back on
You know what? You know why they did that?
Why?
Because this is bottled in this little crossover.
Yeah.
So if they do that here,
get it out.
It doesn't need to carry over when they go for the rest of the season.
Yeah. So now he can just be
over it.
Cisco again. Yes. Good. So Cisco goes back in time to get away from Barry. Admittedly, he says he's like,
"Oh, it's all fine when he does it."
He's all butthurt about it, and then he goes back in time, and then he sees what time travel, how easy it is to screw up and affect the future. Like they save that Dominator, And then the
I
Dominator.
don't know why.
Yeah, and then the Dominator ends up coming back. And in 2016, yeah, again, I don't know why either, but they're good guys. They have to do the right thing. We're gonna show him now why. And then, so he's responsible for the alien invasion later. So he sees, okay, maybe I should hop off Barry's nuts. Okay.
I started to tear up when Barry was going to sacrifice himself.
Yeah,
and then,
that was one of the things, because in the Invasion comic book, they asked, just Earth, surrender your metahumans and you'll all be safe. And then the last page of the first issue in the comic was there was Perry White and Jimmy Olsen were talking. He's like, is that the headline? He's like, yeah. And it cuts to the front page, and it's like, Earth to invaders, drop dead. Like, so yeah, they turn down that, and they fight, and Stein creates this device along with his daughter. We didn't talk about that. He's got a daughter that I thought was Barry's fault. I thought it was Flashback. I thought it was Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Turns out this was Stein's fault. So, okay, at least something wasn't Barry's fault.
Everyone always gives Barry a hard time, but in Legends of Tomorrow's, they're zipping around time all the time.
Well, they're zipping around trying to fix time. Okay, so early in the episode, we saw Oliver is just being real standoffish to Kara. He's kind of being an asshole. He's like, he's pushing back, like he says.
Yeah.
Like he started off as a guy with a bow and arrow, like kind of like the Hawkeye thing in Avengers: Age of Ultron. He's just a guy with a bow and arrow that started, fighting out of a warehouse somewhere.
Pretty much.
Like, and it's gone this far with aliens and stuff. So it's understandable, but they always push back against the people that they don't need to be pushing back against. Same with Wild Doug, but
because what's coming later. Like,
it's coming. She's gonna save him, which
they're gonna do the head nod, and then
they did that cool thing where he fell off the side of a building. She swooped down and saved him. He's like, you know what, kid, you're all right. Like, they have to have that moment.
Yeah, well, but I like those. But...
Yeah, and then I guess it's the dickishness early is worth it for the all right moment later.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
When they came up with the little device to put on all the aliens.
Yeah, so Stein and his daughter created that, and so he runs off, Barry and this looks like a job for Supergirl. He's like, really? He's like, Supergirl and the Flash. Supergirl and the Flash.
It's the one thing I do.
Yeah. So, they run off and they set it off. Firestorm. Really, Firestorm was a big hero there because he transmuted that metahuman bomb.
Yeah.
To water. Yeah, that was cool. That's a power that they kind of developed more as they got into Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that's a power of Firestorms in the comics.
Oh, okay.
Is to transmute, like, energy and change its form.
Okay.
And stuff. So he did that, and that's how he saved the day in this. In this episode, or in these episodes, there were so many shots of just all these superheroes standing together that were those money shots, man. Like, every time they do those in these shows, I love them. Like, they're so well.
You try to look around real quick at everybody.
To see who all is there, do a tally.
Sometimes it's funny just see Heatwave just off in the corner, like, kind of don't belong.
He doesn't.
Neither does Diggle, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Spartan
and Heatwave, yeah.
Those two should have a crossover team up.
Spartan and Heatwave. That's the Friday night show on CW. Spartan and Heatwave. Okay, so anything else? The device.
These two cops don't get along.
All right. So the device that the present Cisco gives Kara at the end.
Not that I'm discrediting like the show's science that they've built up.
Yeah.
But they need to like cool it a little bit with how quickly like they're all like, oh, I made this so you can jump through time portals and breach and other.
Right.
It's like, what's easy?
You were just up on a time ship trying to stop a bomb and all this stuff. When did you have time?
Now look, I will obviously for comic book science, I'll go like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's just easy a little bit sometimes.
Cisco needs time to tinker sometimes. Yeah. All right. So now Supergirl can come over to their Earth whenever she needs to. She just wants to say hi, hang out, go get a drink, which I liked. The end of the episode, after they saved the day, they had that press conference in the Hall of Justice.
Yep.
With the new president. The secret agent man comes back, and Supergirl basically tells him to piss off. You're going to Antarctica. And they have that nice moment at the end where they're all celebrating their victory.
There's the one joke that I missed.
Oh yeah, where
that I really liked.
Where Ray says to Supergirl, "Like she looks like my cousin," And you were like, what? And I was like, dude, he played Superman, remember?
I was like, I don't know how I could have forgotten that.
Yeah, so that was nice. I also like
I would really like to
like
see
looking in a mirror.
I would really like to see a crossover where it's Ray Palmer and then they have the other Superman. He kind of looks at him. He's like,
It's like, yeah, you're fine for TV. I was in a movie once. All right. So yeah, they had a nice moment all together at the end, drinking. Yep. They all leave, go their separate ways. Slowly, it whittles down to Oliver and Barry, the two that started it all.
Yep.
Oh well, they all say the two that started it all is like you can say that about anybody.
Yeah.
Because like they even say it with where Sarah was like, "Remember it was just us two?" And I was like, "Who are you?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess you're right."
I guess you were there.
Like, you're like, remember when we were the ones?
Remember when I cheated on my girlfriend with you?
I always consider Oliver and Barry the two big, but yeah, she's right. Yeah, Canary was,
but she wasn't like, she was Black Canary before.
She was Canary
before Barry came.
Season 2, the beginning of season 2, yeah.
Huh.
So she was. I don't think they knew it was her.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they might have learned it was her at that point or somewhere around there. All right, so they all leave, and then we have that nice moment at the end with Barry and Oliver getting a drink and hanging out,
broing out,
and calling back to what they always call back to in these crossovers: who's better, him or him? Like that ongoing game they have there. I love that. All right, so is there anything else we want to talk about as a whole about Invasion?
Overall, I really, really liked it.
Yeah, it was fantastic. There was so much going on in each episode, so many characters at play, and I'm just excited to see how they top this next year. All right, so if you like this episode of the podcast, please click like on please like and subscribe on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on iTunes, please like and subscribe, leave a review on there. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Jeff_Grants.
I'm at Stephen Tukert.
And theamazingnerdiverse.com. And that's it. Until next week, we will be back next week. And until then, I'm Jeff Grants.
I am Stephen Tukert.
See you right here next week, right here, Amazing Nerdiverse. All that good stuff.